Every man asks the same quiet question: how do I live well? Not how to just look strong, but how to be strong. Not only how to appear disciplined, but how to act with discipline when no one sees. This is the Stoic blueprint of action. 40 virtues that shape the man you become every day. If you're ready to rise above impulse, ego, and chaos, this is the path of the gentleman of distinction, where real men grow, evolve, and unlock their true potential. This channel is dedicated to helping you develop unshakable confidence, strength of character, and a masculine frame that demands respect. If you're ready to level up, let's build the man you're meant to be.
Have you ever met a man who seems unshakable? He moves through life with a quiet confidence. Chaos may erupt around him, but he remains a pillar of calm. He isn't loud or flashy, yet he commands respect without demanding it. When he speaks, people listen. When he acts, it is with purpose and integrity. This man possesses a rare quality in our modern world, an inner fortress. He has built a character so strong that external events cannot break him. He is not swayed by fleeting trends, public opinion, or the emotional storms of the moment. He stands firm on a foundation of timeless principles. He is not defined by wealth, status, or possessions. He is defined by his character. His worth is measured by courage, justice, wisdom, and self-control. In a world that often rewards shallowness and instant gratification, he chooses the harder path of virtue and long-term purpose. He understands that true power is not control over others, but mastery over oneself. This kind of man is not born, he is forged. He is the product of deliberate practice, of choosing what is right over what is easy day after day. But how does one build such a fortress? Where is the blueprint for this kind of inner strength? It's a question that has echoed through the ages. Many men feel a deep yearning for this kind of stability. They are tired of being pulled in 1,000 different directions. They are weary of the anxiety and uncertainty that define so much of modern life. They see the ideal of the unshakable man, but the path to becoming him seems unclear, shrouded in mystery. They are looking for a guide, a roadmap, a code to live by that actually works in the real world. The good news is that such a code exists. Serving as the cornerstone for our Virtues of Stoicism Collection, the Pillars of Stoic Practice series delves into core Stoic virtues. It is an ancient philosophy tested in the fires of war, politics, and personal crisis for over 2,000 years. It was the secret weapon of emperors, statesmen, artists, and leaders. This philosophy is Stoicism, and it holds the key to becoming the man you are meant to be. Stoicism is not about suppressing emotion or enduring life with a stiff upper lip. That is a common misconception. True Stoicism is a powerful, practical philosophy for thriving in a world we don't control. It is a training system for the mind and character. It teaches you to separate what is within your power from what is not. Focus your energy on what you can control. Accept what you can't with peace and strength. The only thing truly within our control is our own mind, our perceptions, our choices, our will. Everything else is external and indifferent. This distinction is the source of freedom and power. Imagine not being disturbed by traffic jams, rude comments, market fluctuations. Imagine facing criticism, setbacks, personal loss with a steady, rational mind. This is not a superpower, it's a skill you can learn. Stoics built daily practices to train inner resilience. Character is a project you work on every day. Life is a gymnasium for the soul. Stoicism promises a strong life, not an easy one. It doesn't avoid hardship. It uses hardship to make you better. A philosophy for warriors, not worriers. Marcus Aurelius, Seneca, Epictetus. They faced exile, political intrigue, plague, war. Yet they lived with virtue, purpose, tranquility. They wrote as men in the arena, not academics. Stoic fundamentals are essential for a gentleman's character. Actionable principles you can use immediately. Disciplines of perception, action, and will. Learn to master the ego, control impulses, and act with courage and justice. a framework for building a life of meaning, resilience, enduring honor. There are many foundational pillars of Stoic thought. This includes understanding why virtue is the only true good, how we see things, perception, what we do, action, and how we accept the world, will. These first principles are the bedrock upon which everything else is built. They anchor a man's life not in shifting sands, but in solid rock. A gentleman is not a slave to his passions, he is their master. He is an emotional anchor for himself and for those around him, not a leaf tossed about by the winds of feeling. A gentleman understands his duty to his community and takes full responsibility for his choices. His word is his bond. His character is his currency. A gentleman lives for something greater than mere pleasure or personal gain, exploring how to embrace hardship as a catalyst for growth and how to cultivate the wisdom to lead a meaningful life. This journey through the Pillars of Stoic Practice series is designed to be transformative. It is a roadmap from where you are to the unshakable man you can become. Now, for the cornerstone of all Stoic thought. It is a single powerful idea that changes everything. The Stoics believed that the only true good is virtue, not wealth, not health, not reputation, not pleasure. These things are externals. They are nice to have, but not essential for a good life. They can be given and taken away by fortune, by other people, by circumstances beyond our control. A man who builds his happiness on these shifting sands will live in constant anxiety. He will always be chasing more or fearing loss. Virtue, on the other hand, is entirely within our control. It is the quality of our character. Wisdom, the ability to see things clearly and make sound judgments. Justice, the commitment to treating others fairly and doing what is right. Courage, the strength to face fear and do what is right despite it. Temperance, self-control, the mastery of our desires and impulses. These four virtues form a complete guide for living. They are timeless, universal, and entirely up to us to cultivate. Think of virtue as your North Star. In the vast, often confusing ocean of life, it is the one fixed point you can always navigate by. When you are lost, it shows you the way. When you are tempted to take a shortcut, it reminds you of the correct path. When a storm hits and waves of chaos crash over you, your commitment to virtue is the anchor that holds you steady. A gentleman grounds his life in this principle. He understands that while he cannot always control what happens to him, he can always control how he responds. And the goal is always to respond with virtue. This is a radical and liberating idea. It means that you can be successful in the truest sense of the word, no matter what your circumstances. In a palace or a prison, in victory or defeat, powerful or powerless. His inner worth is not tied to his external success. This frees him from the desperate need for approval and the crippling fear of failure. His self-esteem comes from his own character, not from the applause of the crowd. This is the first and most important foundation for an unshakable life. With virtue as our North Star, we now need a set of tools to navigate. The Stoics gave us three core disciplines. The first is the discipline of perception. This is about how we see and interpret the world around us. The Stoics taught that it is not events themselves that disturb us, but our judgments about them. A traffic jam is not inherently bad, it is just traffic. The judgment, this is a disaster, my day is ruined, that creates our suffering. The event is neutral, our perception gives it its emotional color. A gentleman trains his mind to see things objectively. He works to strip away the layers of subjective judgment, fear, and desire. He strives to see the world as it is, not as he wishes it were or fears it might be. This is a profound form of mental clarity. It allows him to respond to situations rationally and effectively rather than reacting emotionally and impulsively. When faced with a challenge, he asks, what is this situation factually? What is in my control here and what is not? This discipline is a form of mental armor. It protects you from the emotional highs and lows that exhaust so many people. When someone insults you, the trained mind sees the reality. Someone has spoken words. Their opinion is external to me. It cannot harm my character unless I allow it. You create a space between the stimulus and your response. In that space lies your power. Practicing this is a daily effort. When you feel a strong negative emotion, anger, fear, anxiety, pause. Ask yourself, what judgment am I making that is causing this feeling? Is it a story I am telling myself? You learn to be a calm observer of your own mind, which is the first step toward mastering it. This is the foundation of a gentleman's composure. Seeing the world with clarity is the first step. The second step is to act within it. This is the discipline of action. Perception is internal, but action is external. It is how we express our character in the world. For the Stoics, the purpose of action is simple: to serve the common good and to act in accordance with virtue. A gentleman does not act for selfish gain, for momentary pleasure, or to feed his ego. He acts with a higher purpose in mind. He asks himself, what is the right thing to do here? What would a person of courage, justice, and wisdom do in this situation? It is easy to be kind when everyone is kind to you, but can you be kind to someone who is rude? That is the true test of character. The discipline of action demands that we do what is right, not what is easy. It is about being a man of your word, a reliable colleague, a just leader, and a supportive friend. The Stoics believed we are not isolated individuals. We are parts of a larger whole. Like bees in a hive, we are meant to work together for the collective good. Therefore, a gentleman's actions are never purely for himself. He considers his impact on his family, his community, and the world. He seeks to build, to contribute, to uplift, and to create order. Every day presents countless opportunities to practice the discipline of action. Each choice to act with virtue strengthens your character. It builds a reputation for integrity and trustworthiness. A man who masters this discipline is not just a thinker, he is a doer. He is a force for good in the world. We now arrive at the third and final pillar of Stoic practice, the discipline of will. This is perhaps the most difficult, yet it is the key to true resilience and peace. This discipline concerns our attitude toward everything that is outside of our control. Illness, accidents, the actions of others, economic downturns, our own mortality. These are the things that are not up to us. The discipline of will teaches us to accept these things with grace and strength. This is not passive resignation. It is an active and courageous acceptance of reality. The ancient Stoics used the metaphor of being tied to a moving cart. You can struggle against the rope, getting dragged and choked. Or it can recognize the situation and choose to run alongside the cart. The destination is the same, but the quality of the journey is vastly different. We are all tied to the cart of fate. The wise man learns to run alongside it willingly. When a flight is cancelled, the undisciplined mind rages. The disciplined will accept, "Oh, this has happened. Now, what is the most virtuous and rational way for me to respond?" This is the mindset that turns obstacles into opportunities. The Stoics would say that the obstacle is the way. The impediment to action advances action. What stands in the way becomes the way. A gentleman of distinction does not pray for an easy life. He prays for the strength to endure a difficult one. This discipline forges an inner citadel, a fortress of the mind that no external event, no matter how terrible, can ever breach. Flowing directly from the discipline of will is a concept so powerful it can transform your entire experience of life. It is the Stoic ideal of amor fati, a Latin phrase that means a love of fate. This is not just passively accepting what happens, it is actively loving everything that happens, the good, the bad, and the ugly. It is understanding that every single event, every triumph, and every tragedy has led you to this exact moment and has shaped you into the person you are today. The German philosopher Friedrich Nietzsche, who was deeply influenced by the Stoics, put it this way: My formula for greatness in a human being is amor fati, that one wants nothing to be different, not forward, not backward, not in all eternity, not merely bear what is necessary, still less conceal it, but love it. Imagine the psychological freedom that comes with this mindset. You are no longer at war with your own past. You are no longer anxious about the future because you have resolved to love whatever it may bring. You do your best, and you love the result, whatever it may be. This approach turns every moment of life, even the painful ones, into something to be grateful for. A gentleman who lives by amor fati moves through the world with a deep sense of peace and gratitude. He sees the tapestry of his life and understands that even the dark threads are essential to the beauty of the overall pattern. Alongside the love of fate, the Stoics held another powerful reminder constantly in their minds. It is another Latin phrase, memento mori, which translates to, remember you will die. This may sound morbid, but for the Stoics, it was the exact opposite. It was a tool for invigoration, clarification, and motivation. The constant awareness of our own mortality is the ultimate antidote to procrastination and triviality. When you remember that your time is finite, your priorities snap into sharp focus. Petty squabbles, meaningless distractions, and the pursuit of vanity are revealed as waste. You would focus on what truly matters: relationships, principles, impact. Marcus Aurelius wrote, "You could leave life right now. Let that determine what you do and say and think. Before deciding, ask, if this were my last action, would I be proud?" Remembering death is the key to living fully. Stop deferring happiness and purpose. Stop saying someday and start acting today. Cultivate gratitude for being alive. Every sunrise is a gift. A gentleman does not fear death. He fears a life not well lived. He fears reaching the end and realizing he's squandered his time. Memento mori is the wake-up call to build character, love our people, and live with honor. We have now laid the 6 foundational stones of the Stoic gentleman's code. First, virtue as the highest good. Second, the discipline of perception. Third, the discipline of action. Fourth, the discipline of will strengthened by fifth, amor fati. And sixth, the ultimate motivator, memento mori. These principles are not just interesting ideas. They are a practical blueprint for building an inner fortress, a character of unshakable strength and integrity. These foundations work together as a complete system. Memento mori gives us the urgency. Virtue gives us the direction. The 3 disciplines give us the method. When you face a difficult situation, you can walk through them. First, perception. What is actually happening here? Second, action. What is the most virtuous thing I can do? Third, will. What aspects of this must I accept? This is not a quick fix. Building a fortress of character takes time and daily effort. It is a lifelong practice, not a destination. There will be days when you fail. You will let your perceptions run wild. You will act out of ego or fear. You will resist your fate. The key is to not be discouraged. Simply get back up, dust yourself off, and return to the practice. In the episodes that follow, we will build upon this foundation. We will move from these core principles to the specific rules of inner mastery and moral action. We will explore how to tame the ego, cultivate self-control, and act with courage and justice in the real world. But remember that everything we will discuss rests on these fundamental ideas. With them, you have a cohesive, powerful philosophy for becoming a gentleman of distinction, a man who is calm, resilient, and master of his own soul. Have you ever looked around and felt that something is missing? Have you noticed how the world seems to get louder, faster, and more demanding every day? It seems that in our modern rush, we have misplaced something essential. We have lost a sense of quiet dignity. True strength has been replaced by noise. Character has been traded for clicks. We are constantly pulled in 1,000 different directions by notifications, trends, and the endless pursuit of fleeting pleasures. This constant distraction leaves us feeling empty and unfulfilled. It makes us reactive, not proactive, and it chips away at the very core of what it means to be a person of substance. a gentleman of distinction. This isn't a problem of the modern world alone, but the modern world has amplified it. We are encouraged to chase validation, to build a public image that often has little to do with our true selves. We are told to seek comfort and avoid difficulty at all costs. But what does this lead to? It leads to a life lived on the surface, a life of easy choices and shallow rewards. Our attention is fragmented. Our resolve is weakened. We become slaves to our impulses, our emotions, and the opinions of others. This is the opposite of freedom. It is the opposite of what it takes to build a life of meaning and purpose. The idea of the gentleman might sound old-fashioned to some, but it is not about a stuffy set of rules or an outdated code of conduct. It is about something timeless. It is about inner strength, integrity, and the ability to navigate life's challenges with grace and composure. It is about being a steady hand in a turbulent world, a person who can be relied upon, a person who commands respect not through force but through their actions and their character. This is the kind of man the world desperately needs more of, a man who is not easily swayed, who's in control of himself, and who lives by a set of core principles. This journey back to true character is not easy, but it is possible. It does not require you to retreat from the world. Instead, it asks you to engage with it differently. It asks you to look inward. We continue the path through our Virtues of Stoicism collection with the Pillars of Stoic Practice series, episode 2, exploring how the ancient philosophy of Stoicism offers a powerful and practical guide for this journey. It is not a dusty academic subject. It is a real-world operating system for thriving in the face of adversity. The Stoics understood that the key to a good life was not found in external things, but within. It was found in the cultivation of virtue. This introduction will set you on that path, a path toward rediscovering that lost sense of dignity. We begin our journey with the most intimate and often the most difficult challenge, the mastery of our own ego. What is ego? In Stoicism, the ego is that relentless inner voice. It craves validation, it fears criticism, it constantly compares itself to others. It swells with pride after a minor success. It shrinks in shame after a small failure. It is the source of arrogance. It is the source of insecurity. It is the source of that desperate need to be seen as important. Ego mastery is not about destroying that part of you. It is about learning to manage it. It is the deliberate practice of keeping your pride in check. It is about checking your sense of self-importance so they do not control your actions. A man ruled by his ego is a man in chains. He becomes a slave to the opinions of others. His happiness rises with every compliment. It falls with every insult. He cannot accept feedback. His ego says he's already perfect. He cannot learn from mistakes. His ego insists he never makes any. This makes him fragile. This makes him brittle. This makes him ultimately ineffective. The Stoics, like Marcus Aurelius, understood this danger. Marcus reminded himself to strip away pomp and circumstance, to see things as they truly were, not as his ego wanted them to be. This is ego mastery, gaining the clarity to see the world and yourself honestly, without the distorting lens of pride. Think of the ego as a wild horse. If you let it run free, it will drag you through dangerous, unpredictable territory. It will chase every shiny object. It will flee from every shadow. It will exhaust you and lead you nowhere of value. Ego mastery is gently taking the reins, training that horse to serve your higher purpose, not its own whims. It requires patience. It requires awareness. It requires consistent effort to subordinate your need for recognition to doing what is right. It is a quiet internal battle. It is the first and most crucial one on the path to becoming a gentleman of distinction. Without this virtue, other virtues become corrupted. Courage becomes reckless bravado to impress others. Justice becomes a performance for public acclaim. Wisdom becomes arrogance, a tool to prove you're smarter than everyone else. The ego taints everything it touches with selfish motive. By learning to control it, you protect your potential for growth. You create internal space for true humility to take root. You can learn from anyone. You can learn from any situation. This is the starting point for building an unshakable character. It is the first step toward inner freedom.
In our modern world, the ego finds more nourishment than ever before. It is constantly being fed, and we are often unaware of how we are contributing to its power over us. The most obvious trap is social media. Every platform is designed around the very things the ego craves: likes, shares, followers, comments. We meticulously craft an online persona, a highlight reel of our lives, designed to elicit envy and admiration. This digital version of ourselves becomes a demanding master. We start making choices not based on our values, but on what will look good in a post. The line between our authentic self and our curated image blurs, and our self-worth becomes dangerously tied to these superficial metrics. Beyond the digital realm, the ego finds traps in our professional lives. We chase job titles, promotions, the corner office, not just for the responsibility or the opportunity to contribute, but for the status they confer. We become obsessed with being right in meetings, not because the truth is important, but because our ego cannot stand to be corrected. The need for praise from a boss or colleagues can become a powerful driver, leading us to compromise our integrity or avoid necessary but unpopular decisions. A true gentleman seeks to be good, not just to look good. He values contribution over credit and substance over status, recognizing these as common snares for the untamed ego. Another insidious trap is the constant comparison to others. A friend's new car, a colleague's vacation photos, or a rival's success. And immediately feels a sense of lack or jealousy. It whispers that we are falling behind, that we are not enough. This breeds resentment and a perpetual state of dissatisfaction. Instead of focusing on our own path and our own progress, the only things we can truly control, we become fixated on the perceived lives of others. This is a recipe for misery. It distracts us from our purpose and drains our energy, which could be better spent on our own self-improvement. Finally, the ego traps us in our own defensiveness. When someone offers constructive criticism, the ego's first reaction is to protect itself. It rears up, makes excuses, shifts blame, attacks the person giving the feedback. It views any critique as a personal assault. This reaction walls us off from one of the most powerful tools for growth: honest input from others. A man who cannot hear criticism is a man who cannot improve. He is stuck in a self-imposed prison of his own making, where his ego stands guard at the door, refusing to let any hard truths in. Recognizing these traps is the first step toward disarming them. Practical tools for Stoic humility. Understanding the traps of the ego is one thing. Escaping them requires consistent practice. The Stoics were not theorists, they were practitioners. They developed concrete exercises to cultivate Stoic humility. One powerful tool is daily reflection, often done through journaling. At the end of each day, review your actions. Ask yourself, when did my ego take control today? Did I act out of pride? Did I seek validation? Did I get defensive? Do not judge yourself harshly. Simply observe. Awareness weakens the ego's automatic control. It makes you more conscious of its influence in real time. Another essential practice, premeditatio malorum, the premeditation of evils. While we'll cover courage later, this also helps master the ego. Contemplate potential failures, contemplate setbacks, contemplate criticisms. Imagine your project failing. Imagine receiving a negative review. Imagine being publicly corrected. Thinking through these in advance robs them of emotional power. Your ego learns these outcomes are survivable. This builds resilience and humility. It reminds you you're not invincible and worth isn't tied to uninterrupted success.
Practice small daily checks, minor, deliberate actions to subordinate the ego. Let someone else take the credit for a good idea. Choose the less prestigious task that still needs doing. Listen fully in a conversation. Don't plan your reply, aim to understand. As Cato did, intentionally dress down, or choose a less comfortable route. These acts are resistance training for your humility muscle. Finally, seek opportunities to learn from others, especially those you might dismiss. Assume everyone knows something you don't. Approach conversations with curiosity, not to broadcast. Ask questions. Listen more than you speak. This counters the ego's belief that it's the smartest in the room. It turns every interaction into a lesson. Combine reflection, premeditation, small checks, and active listening. You begin to dismantle the ego's throne and replace it with a quiet, sturdy foundation of Stoic humility. This enables real, continuous growth. Why ego mastery builds true influence. It may seem paradoxical, but the less you are driven by ego, the more influential you become. People are not drawn to arrogance or the desperate need for attention. Quiet confidence, stability, authenticity. A man who has mastered his ego does not need to broadcast his accomplishments. His results speak for themselves. He does not need to be the loudest person in the room, because he knows that true power lies in listening and understanding. This creates an aura of calm and authority that people naturally respect and trust. His influence is not forced. It is earned through his character. Ego mastery is also the key to effective leadership and collaboration. An egoless leader is able to put the mission and the team first. They can make decisions based on what is best for the group, not what will make them look good. Take feedback, admit when they are wrong, change course. This fosters an environment of psychological safety where team members feel comfortable speaking up, taking risks, offering creative solutions. Conversely, a leader ruled by ego creates a culture of fear and sycophancy, where people are afraid to challenge bad ideas and the truth is suppressed. Furthermore, controlling your ego protects you from making foolish mistakes. The ego craves shortcuts and grand gestures. It is impatient and prone to overconfidence. A businessman to take a reckless gamble, an athlete to ignore a serious injury, or a politician to make a promise they cannot keep. A man who has his ego in check is more patient, more deliberate, and more rational. He is able to assess risks clearly without the distortion of wishful thinking. His decisions are grounded in reality, not in a fantasy of his own greatness. This protects him and those who depend on him from preventable disasters. Ultimately, ego mastery builds influence because it allows for genuine connection with others. Validation, praise, and advantage. You are free to simply connect with them as human beings. You can offer help without expecting anything in return. You can celebrate their successes without feeling envy. You can listen to their problems with genuine empathy. People can feel this. They know when they are being used as a prop for someone else's ego, and they are deeply drawn to those rare individuals who see them, hear them, and value them for who they are. This is the foundation of deep, lasting influence and true respect. In closing, remember, master your ego, practice Stoic humility, and serve others. Choose reflection, patience, and principled action. Build quiet strength, earn trust, and lead with character. Have you ever wondered, what separates a man from a gentleman? It is not wealth, it is not status, it is not fleeting trends. It is something deeper. It is an inner fortitude, a quiet strength. It remains steady while the world outside spins in chaos. This is the strength of the unshakable man, a gentleman of true distinction. In a world that prizes instant gratification and fragile egos, developing this internal power is more crucial than ever. This episode offers you a clear promise. We will continue to explore 6 more ancient Stoic practices that build this unshakable character. These are not abstract theories, but practical tools for modern life, designed to forge true virtue within you. This journey through the Virtues of Stoicism Collection is about transforming how you face every aspect of your life. It is about building a foundation of resilience that cannot be broken by external events. Imagine a man who is not swayed by trivial insults, who finds opportunity in every obstacle, who lives with a clear and unwavering sense of purpose. This is the man you can become. In the Pillars of Stoic Practice series, the practices we will discuss are timeless, drawn from the wisdom of great Stoic philosophers like Marcus Aurelius and Seneca. They are as relevant in the boardroom today as they were in the Roman Forum 2,000 years ago. We will guide you step by step through this powerful philosophy of Stoicism. The chapters will detail the 6 essential habits that mold your transformation. Each one builds upon the last, creating a comprehensive framework for a life of virtue and purpose. We will not just tell you what to do, we will show you how to do it. You will learn practical techniques to integrate these principles into your daily routine, making them a part of who you are, not just something you know. What happens when these 6 habits become your second nature? At the end of this video, I will reveal a single, powerful, daily ritual that combines all 6 practices into one cohesive system. This is the secret that turns knowledge into wisdom and intention into character. It is the key that unlocks a profound and lasting change in how you experience the world. It is the ultimate tool for building a life of meaning, resilience, and quiet dignity. So stay with me. The transformation from the man you are to the gentleman you can be starts right now. The path to becoming a gentleman of distinction is built upon foundational pillars. These are not mere suggestions, but the core tenets of a virtuous life. Think of them as the support beams of your character. In the coming chapters, we will focus on each one individually. We will begin with the choice between fleeting pleasure and lasting purpose. Following purpose, we will delve into the embrace of hardship. Challenges become opportunities for growth and strength. True resilience is forged in the fires of adversity. Next, emotional fortitude, mastering your inner world. A gentleman feels but is not controlled by feelings. He cannot always choose what he feels, but he can choose his response. From there, voluntary discomfort. Build mental toughness by stepping outside comfort in small ways. Then, silence and reflection. Stillness and self-examination in a noisy world. Finally, moral accountability. Live by a code, own your mistakes, hold to high ethical standards. Purpose over pleasure. Embrace of hardship, emotional fortitude, voluntary discomfort, silence and reflection, moral accountability. They form a complete system for self-mastery. They are the tools to construct a life of unshakable virtue. Our first pillar is the most fundamental choice a man can make. It is the decision to live for purpose over pleasure. Rather, it means aligning your actions with a deeper sense of meaning, with your long-term values instead of chasing fleeting, momentary gratification. A life guided by pleasure is a life adrift, tossed about by the changing tides of impulse and desire. It is reactive. A life guided by purpose, however, is a life with a destination. It has a North Star, a fixed point on the horizon, that allows you to navigate with clarity and intention, regardless of the immediate weather conditions you face. Do you hit the snooze button for a few more minutes of comfort? Or do you rise early to work on a personal project that truly matters to you? Do you spend your evenings scrolling through social media for a quick dopamine hit? Or do you engage in a difficult but meaningful conversation with a loved one? Do you choose a career path based solely on salary and ease, or one that aligns with your core principles and contributes to something larger than yourself? These daily decisions, seemingly minor in isolation, compound over time to define the very fabric of your character and the trajectory of your life. The pursuit of pleasure is an insatiable hunger. Each indulgence provides a temporary high, but it is quickly followed by a void, an emptiness that requires an even greater stimulus next time. This cycle creates a fragile existence, one that is dependent on external sources for validation and happiness. When those sources are removed, as they inevitably will be, the entire structure collapses. A man who lives for purpose, on the other hand, builds his foundation on solid ground. His satisfaction comes from within, from the knowledge that he is living in accordance with his own chosen values. Choosing purpose is the first act of true self-discipline. It asks you to identify what you stand for, what kind of man you want to be, and what legacy you wish to leave behind. This is not a question to be answered once, but a principle to be lived every day. It is the anchor that provides stability in a chaotic world, and it is the first essential step on the path to becoming a gentleman of distinction, an unshakable man of virtue. Once your compass is set by purpose, you must be prepared for the terrain. The second pillar of Stoic virtue is the embrace of hardship. Our modern culture teaches us to seek comfort, avoid pain, and choose the easiest path. The Stoic understands this is a recipe for weakness. Character, like a sword, is not made in comfort. It is forged in fire, hammered into shape through pressure and by repeated impact. Hardship is not to be passively endured. It is an active opportunity to build strength. It is the conscious recognition that challenges drive growth. Every difficulty is a test of virtue. Practice patience, practice courage, practice resilience, practice wisdom. A man who has never faced adversity is like a ship that has never left the harbor, pristine, undamaged, but not fulfilling its purpose. Consider Marcus Aurelius. He saw his reign's turmoil, plagues, wars, betrayals, as a gymnasium for his soul. He wrote, "The impediment to action advances action. What stands in the way becomes the way. It is the raw material for character. The gentleman does not complain about the storm. He learns to sail through it, becoming a more skilled sailor." When a project fails, humility and strategy. When you face criticism, a test of emotional fortitude. Forced to do something difficult, a chance to build discipline. Adopt this mindset and you transform adversity. Rob it of its power to discourage you, harness its energy for development, and turn stumbling blocks into stepping stones towards stronger character. Having established our purpose and embraced hardship, we now turn inward. We must build the third pillar, emotional fortitude. This is the art of creating an unbreachable fortress within your own mind. An inner citadel that remains calm and controlled, regardless of the turmoil outside. A gentleman of distinction is not a man who suppresses his emotions or pretends they do not exist. He is not a cold, unfeeling automaton. On the contrary, he feels everything, but he is not a slave to his feelings. He understands the crucial difference between experiencing an emotion and being commanded by it. Most people live in a state of reaction. An insult is met with anger. A setback is met with despair. A compliment is met with pride. Their inner state is a direct reflection of their external circumstances, making them fragile and predictable. The Stoic, however, practices a different way of being. He cultivates a space between the stimulus and his response. He knows that external events have no inherent power over his mind. It is only the judgments he attaches to those events that give them the power to disturb him. Emotional fortitude is the practice of mastering these judgments, of choosing to see events clearly and rationally, rather than through the distorting lens of raw, unchecked emotion. Think of the man who receives a heated, accusatory email. The reactive man immediately fires back a defensive and equally angry reply. The gentleman with emotional fortitude, however, feels the initial sting of anger or injustice but does not act on it. He pauses. He recognizes the feeling, allows it to pass, and then chooses a response that is calm, rational, and constructive. He remains in control of himself, and therefore in control of the situation, de-escalating conflict rather than fueling it. Building this inner citadel is not a gift you are born with. It is a skill you develop through conscious and repeated practice. It is about training yourself to observe your emotions from a distance without getting swept away by them. Just as a weightlifter strengthens a muscle through resistance training, a gentleman strengthens his emotional fortitude by facing difficult feelings without surrendering his reason. This is the foundation of true freedom, freedom from the tyranny of your own impulses and the provocations of the outside world. It is the ability to remain centered and act with virtue, even when everything around you is falling into chaos. Building on emotional fortitude, we arrive at our fourth pillar, voluntary discomfort. Why would anyone willingly choose discomfort? The reason is simple: to build mental toughness and to expand your capacity for resilience. It's a kind of inoculation against life's inevitable hardships. The Stoics believed in this practice. Seneca, though very wealthy, would periodically live as if he were poor. He would wear simple clothes. He would eat basic food. He would sleep on a hard floor. He did this not because he liked being poor, but to ask, is this the condition I feared? The practice stripped away his fear of loss. It taught him happiness wasn't tied to wealth or possessions and gave him freedom and mental resilience. First, it builds mental toughness. Do something hard, like taking a cold shower, and you train your willpower. You teach your mind it's in charge, not your body's comfort impulses. Second, it reduces cravings and dependence on comforts. Saying no simplifies life and lowers anxiety. Finally, it cultivates deep gratitude. After a cold shower, a warm towel feels luxurious. After fasting, a simple meal tastes like a feast. This pulls you off the hedonic treadmill and grounds you in present gratitude. It's an antidote to modern dissatisfaction and entitlement. We have fortified our will and learned to master our reactions. Now, we must cultivate the environment where wisdom can grow. This brings us to our fifth pillar, silence and reflection. In the relentless noise of the modern world, silence has become a rare and precious commodity. Notifications, news cycles, opinions, endless streams of entertainment. This constant external input leaves no room for internal examination. It prevents us from hearing our own thoughts, from consulting our own inner compass. A gentleman of distinction understands that to act wisely, he must first think clearly, and clear thought is born in silence. Think of your mind as a glass of water filled with sediment. If you are constantly shaking it, the water remains cloudy and opaque. The moment you set the glass down and allow it to be still, the sediment slowly settles to the bottom and the water becomes clear. Silence and reflection are the act of setting your mind down. This is why great thinkers and leaders throughout history have cherished solitude. Therefore, the gentleman actively carves out pockets of silence in his daily life. The first 15 minutes of the morning, a quiet walk during his lunch break, a period of digital detox in the evening. By intentionally creating these islands of quiet in the ocean of noise, you reclaim your mental sovereignty. You build a space where you can prevent rash actions, sharpen your judgment, and ensure that your life is being guided by your own deliberate choices, not the deafening roar of the crowd. Silence and reflection lead us to our sixth and final pillar, moral accountability. After honestly examining your actions in the quiet of your own mind, you are faced with a choice. When you discover you have fallen short of your own standards, what do? The easy path is to make excuses. The easy path is to blame others. The easy path is to ignore your failings and hope they go away. The gentleman's path, the Stoic path, is radical ownership. Moral accountability is taking full responsibility for your actions, owning your mistakes without reservation, making amends where necessary, committing to live by a clear, unwavering ethical code. This pillar gives all the others their teeth. Your purpose, your resilience, your emotional fortitude, meaningless if not directed toward a virtuous end. Accountability pairs your strength with goodness. A man who lacks accountability is not trustworthy. He may be charming, he may be successful, but his character is built on sand. The goal: look in the mirror and know you live by your word. Know you own your failures. Know you are relentlessly dedicated to being a force for good. This is the essence of being a gentleman of distinction. Not outward appearances, but deep internal commitment to a life of honor, fully and completely accountable. We have journeyed through the 6 foundational pillars of Stoic virtue: choosing purpose, embracing hardship, mastering emotions, practicing discomfort, seeking silence, owning our accountability. Now, as promised, it's time for the payoff. Weave these 6 threads into a single, cohesive daily practice. This is the operating system for a life of virtue. Your day begins not with your phone, but with 5 minutes of structured silence. Perform the morning prime in that quiet. Reconnect with your purpose. Prepare for hardship. Premeditatio malorum. Set your moral intention: patience, courage, kindness. Evening review, a few minutes before sleep. Reflection: journal 1 win and 1 challenge. Voluntary discomfort: note small acts of will. Take the stairs, endure the cold shower. Moral accountability: honest review and notes to amend. This 10-minute ritual is the engine of transformation. Morning prime sets your course. Evening review provides the feedback loop. Integrates purpose, hardship, emotional fortitude, voluntary discomfort, silence, accountability. Stop learning Stoicism. Start living it day by day, moment by moment. Knowledge without action is useless. To help you move from understanding to doing, I want to present you with a simple 7-day starter challenge. Day 1, purpose. Day 2, embrace hardship. Day 3, emotional fortitude. Day 4, voluntary discomfort. Day 5, silence. Day 6, moral accountability. Day 7, review the week. Even after 1 week, you'll feel more control, clearer purpose, and deeper resilience. This challenge is your invitation. Stop being a spectator. Step into the arena and begin forging the gentleman of distinction you are meant to be. At the beginning of this journey, I made a promise. I promised to show you the path to becoming an unshakable man, a gentleman of true distinction. There will be days you falter. The Stoic, the gentleman, is not the man who never falls. He is the man who always gets back up. Most importantly, you will earn your own self-respect. Do not try to master everything at once. Just practice 1 thing today. This is how the greatest structures are built, 1 stone at a time. The path to becoming an unshakable gentleman is a long one, but it begins with a single step. Take that step today. The man you want to be is waiting. What if you could face any storm, inside or out, with complete calm? Imagine a version of yourself who is not tossed about by the chaos of the world, a man who stands firm when others falter. This is not a fantasy. It is a state of being that ancient philosophers called being unshakable. It's a promise of inner fortitude, a quiet confidence that radiates from you in every situation, in a world that is getting louder, more demanding, more chaotic by the day. This ability to remain steady is not just a luxury, it has become a necessity for a life well lived. It is the foundation upon which all other successes are built. This is the promise we are making to you in our 4th episode. But it comes with a condition. There is a specific, actionable piece of wisdom, a single powerful technique that ties all of this together. It is the key that unlocks this unshakable state. We will not reveal it now. Stay with us until the very end of this journey, and we will deliver that final transformative payoff. The Virtues of Stoicism Collection is meant to be a practical operating system for thriving in a high-stress world. It is about focusing on what you can control and letting go of what you cannot. It equips you with the mental tools to navigate adversity with grace and to live a life of virtue and purpose, a man of character, integrity, and quiet strength. We are constantly bombarded with opinions, distractions, moral ambiguity. Finding clarity in this modern world is the ultimate challenge and the greatest reward. It is about building a moral compass that always points true north, regardless of the magnetic pull of external pressures. We invite you to stay with us, to absorb these lessons, and to claim the powerful payoff that awaits you at the end. So, what is the path forward? How do we walk this road from where we are now to becoming that unshakable man? Our journey through the Pillars of Stoic Practice series is structured around foundational Stoic virtues. Think of them not as abstract concepts, but as pillars you can build, one by one, to construct your inner citadel. These are practical daily disciplines, a step towards becoming a gentleman of distinction, defined not by what he has, but by who he is. Moral clarity, gracious strength, stewardship of influence, honorable speech, boundaries with compassion, faithfulness to duty. We will provide real-world examples, practical exercises, and the timeless wisdom of Stoic masters like Marcus Aurelius and Epictetus. The path to becoming a gentleman of distinction starts now. The only question is, are you ready to walk it? We begin with the first pillar, the very foundation upon which a gentleman of distinction is built: moral clarity. It is a practical, powerful skill, the practice of discerning right from wrong with precision and unwavering conviction. In a world filled with grey areas, shifting values, and constant noise, a man without this clarity is like a ship without a rudder. He hesitates, he compromises, he eventually loses himself. A gentleman must not and cannot afford to drift in such ambiguity. Your conscience must be a sharp, decisive instrument. This clarity of conscience is what allows you to act without hesitation, because you are not guessing. You are proceeding from a place of deep internal certainty. The Roman Emperor Marcus Aurelius knew that the greatest battles were not fought on the fields of Germania, but within the landscape of his own mind. The first practical step is to engage in a ritual of daily reflection. Take just 5 minutes at the end of each day. Look back at the choices you made. The second step is to test your choices against a short personal creed. Before making any significant decision, pause and ask yourself, does this action align with my creed? He may lose short-term profit, but he preserves his integrity and strengthens his reputation for quality. This is moral clarity in action. We arrive at the second virtue, gracious strength. This is the fusion of firmness and kindness, power restrained by principle. True strength is never brutish. It is measured, merciful, and commands respect without coercion. When you are confronted with a challenge, your immediate emotional reaction is rarely your best one. Instead of reacting instantly, create a space. Take a single, deliberate breath. A far greater strength is to hold your ground calmly and explain your position without needing to make the other person suffer. It upholds excellence while preserving dignity. This is the heart of gracious strength, the art of being strong enough to be gentle. We now turn to our impact on the world, stewardship of influence. This is recognizing and responsibly using your power, platform, or presence. Influence is not for self-glory, it's for uplifting others and modeling virtue in real time. Before you speak, before you post, apply a simple filter. Ask yourself, does this contribute positively? He deflects the spotlight onto others. One act turns pride into service, showing influence used for the benefit of all. Now, we must examine the primary tool through which that influence is expressed. Our words, honorable speech. Words shape reality. A gentleman speaks with weight, never idly or destructively. Before you speak, your words must pass through 3 gates. First gate, is it true? Second gate, is it necessary? Third gate, is it kind? Same message. Constructive delivery. It respects the person while addressing the problem. The art of honorable speech in practice. This brings us to the 5th virtue, boundaries with compassion. The art of saying no without anger and yes without weakness. If you give your finite resources away indiscriminately, you will have nothing left for the duties you have consciously chosen. Your yes becomes more powerful and meaningful because people know it is a genuine choice, not a reluctant obligation. We have reached the final and perhaps most foundational virtue, faithfulness to duty. A man of distinction shows up when it's hard, when no one sees, when it costs him. Choose one small, simple duty. For the next 7 days, commit to performing this one small duty without fail. This small, repeated victory will begin to build the muscle of duty. We have journeyed together through the 6 foundational virtues of a Stoic gentleman. We hooked you with the idea of a single, powerful technique. That technique is the simple, powerful act of conscious daily practice. As promised, here is your call to action. The 7-day Gentleman's Challenge. On day 1, practice moral clarity. On day 2, practice gracious strength. On day 3, stewardship. On day 4, honorable speech. On day 5, boundaries. On day 6, and on day 7, you will reflect. You will feel a shift, a little more calm, a little more clarity, a little more control. This is the beginning of becoming unshakable. This is your chance to move from the man you are to the gentleman of distinction you were always meant to be. Begin the challenge today and become unshakable. In a world filled with constant noise and distraction, have you ever wondered what it truly means to be unbreakable? To stand firm while others are swept away by chaos, anger, fear. This isn't about being cold or emotionless. It's about possessing an inner fortress, a quiet strength that commands respect without demanding it. It is the quality of a true gentleman, a man of distinction whose character is his greatest asset. This idea might seem old-fashioned, a relic from a bygone era, but the principles that build such a man are timeless, and they are more necessary today than ever before. True self-mastery is not a gift you are born with. It is a skill you forge in the fires of daily life, through deliberate practice, unwavering commitment. This journey through the Virtues of Stoicism Collection is not about radical transformation overnight. It is about a gradual, steady process of building virtue. The ancient Stoics knew this well. They taught that the key to a good life, a life of meaning and tranquility, was found within. It was about focusing on what you can control, your thoughts, your judgments, your actions, and accepting what you cannot. This ancient philosophy is not just an intellectual exercise. It is a practical guide for living with purpose, dignity, resilience. The path to becoming this unbreakable man, this gentleman of distinction, is not a secret. It is not reserved for a select few. It is available to any man willing to do the work. The reward for this work is not fame or fortune, but something far more valuable. An inner peace that cannot be bought, a quiet confidence that cannot be faked. It is the freedom that comes from mastering yourself. In this 5th episode of our Pillars of Stoic Practice series, we will unpack the foundational principles of Stoicism, the cardinal virtues, not as dusty historical facts, but as living tools for modern self-mastery. We will break down this profound philosophy into 6 simple, actionable pillars. Each one is a step toward building a more resilient, disciplined, honorable version of yourself. We will not just tell you what to do, we will explain why each principle matters and how you can begin practicing it today, right now. There is a powerful promise we make to you. If you stay with us to the end, we will not only reveal these 6 pillars, but also provide a practical daily routine that ties them all together. This is the payoff, a clear, simple framework to begin your journey toward becoming an unbreakable gentleman of distinction, starting the moment this video concludes. The first pillar is awe of the spiritual. This does not necessarily mean adhering to a specific religion. Rather, it is about cultivating humility and awe before a greater order. This could be nature, God, the cosmos, a higher purpose, or the intricate laws of life. A true gentleman knows he is a small part of a larger, interconnected system. He is not the center of the universe. He is a participant with a role and a duty in harmony with the whole. This is the bedrock of Stoic tranquility. The Stoics, like Marcus Aurelius, reminded themselves of their place in the cosmos. They sought perspective, not insignificance. Awe shrinks personal troubles and petty anxieties. Why does this matter for a man of distinction? Because awe of the spiritual is the antidote to arrogance and ego. The arrogant man rages and blames. The reverent man pauses. He looks out at the city or takes a deep breath, acknowledging limits. Awe lets him step back from panic. It connects him to duty beyond career, enabling clarity, integrity, and care for the greater good. The awe we cultivate naturally blossoms into a deep and practical humility. This is not the false modesty of a man who downplays his strengths, but the genuine humility of a man who knows his true place. This understanding prevents him from becoming inflated by praise or crushed by criticism. His self-worth is not tied to the fleeting opinions of others, but anchored in his commitment to playing his part well. So how do we cultivate this pillar in our daily lives? It begins with small, intentional acts of attention. Make it a habit to find one thing each day that inspires a sense of wonder and simply hold it in your mind for a minute. A second powerful practice is a morning reflection, rooted in gratitude for these larger systems. Before you check your phone or dive into the day's anxieties, take 3 minutes. Express gratitude for something in nature, something created by humanity, and for the people in your life who support you. To make this even more concrete, consider building a simple habit, a 5-minute nature pause each morning. The goal is not to think or to solve problems, but simply to be present and to witness the world as it is, independent of you and your concerns. By regularly connecting with the sacred, he builds an inner foundation that cannot be shaken by personal misfortune or public chaos. This is the first and most vital step toward becoming unbreakable. The second pillar on our path to becoming an unbreakable gentleman is emotional awareness. This is the ability to understand the message beneath an emotion without being swept away by its current. It is the crucial difference between feeling an emotion, anger, anxiety, and being ruled by it. A man who lacks this skill is like a ship without a rudder. The man who has mastered it, however, is the calm and steady captain who can navigate the storm, using the winds and waves to guide his vessels safely to port. The Stoics taught a powerful practice for this, viewing your emotions as if they were passers-by on a street. You can stand at your window and watch them go by. Anger, frustration, joy, sadness. You can acknowledge their presence, all without leaving your post and running into the street to join them. This mental distance is the key. It creates a space between the stimulus and your response. In that space lies your power to choose. Why is this so vital for a man of distinction? Because a man who can read and manage his own emotions is seen as formidable and, more importantly, trustworthy. In moments of crisis, people do not look to the most panicked person in the room for leadership. They look to the calmest. This is not about suppression. Suppressing emotions is like trying to hold a beach ball underwater. Eventually, it will explode to the surface with even greater force. Emotional awareness is about processing, not bottling. A gentleman does not pretend he doesn't feel fear. He feels it, acknowledges its warning, thanks it for the information, and then takes the courageous action anyway. This internal mastery is far more impressive than a mere outward display of toughness. It is authentic strength. The most practical tool for developing emotional awareness is the conscious, deliberate pause. Your immediate, instinctual reaction is often not your best one. First, name the feeling. This is anger. Second, quickly trace the trigger. Third, then ask, what action is useful here? Not, what do I feel like doing? A gentleman asks, what is useful? Practical example, you're in a heated meeting. A colleague criticizes your work unfairly. Impulse, lash out. Instead, deploy the pause. Take a slow, silent breath. In your mind, this is humiliation. Trace it. His words implied, I'm incompetent. Ask, what is useful? Lashing out escalates conflict and looks unprofessional. Useful action. Calmly acknowledge the point. suggest discussing details offline. By pausing, you retain dignity, you control the narrative, you demonstrate unbreakable composure. We now arrive at the third pillar, a concept that lies at the very heart of authentic self-worth: private victories. These are the unseen battles you fight and win against your own weaknesses when no one is watching. They are the moments you choose duty over comfort, discipline over indulgence, integrity over convenience, without any hope of applause or recognition. These victories are profoundly important because they are entirely for you. There is no external validation to chase, no audience to impress. The only person who knows you, kept your promise to yourself, is you. This is precisely what gives them their power. When you choose to go for that run on a cold, rainy morning, you are not just exercising your body, you are exercising your willpower. You are casting a vote for the person you want to become. Each time you win one of these small skirmishes against laziness or vice, you strengthen the part of you that is disciplined, resilient, in control. These are the foundational bricks of your inner fortress. The confidence that emanates from a true gentleman is different from mere bravado or arrogance. It is a quiet, settled assurance that is not easily shaken. This kind of confidence is forged in the solitude of these private victories. Think of it like building a financial reserve. Every private win is a deposit into your account of self-trust. A man who consistently breaks his promises has an overdrawn account. He cannot truly trust himself. In contrast, the man who consistently makes the harder, better choice builds a vast reserve of self-trust. When a major challenge arises in his public life, he can draw upon this deep well of confidence. When you know with certainty that you have conquered yourself in the dark, you do not need the spotlight to feel worthy. He is the same man in the shadows as he is in the light, and this congruency is the source of his profound and unbreakable inner peace. To actively cultivate this pillar, you must be intentional. It starts by setting small, concrete tests for yourself. For 1 week, you might commit to taking a cold shower every morning. A powerful method for reinforcing these wins is to journal them. At the end of each day, take 2 minutes to perform a nightly audit. Open a simple notebook and write down one private victory you achieved that day. This act of writing it down acknowledges your effort and solidifies the win in your mind. Over time, this journal becomes a testament to your growing self-mastery. This ritual creates a feedback loop that strengthens your resolve. The desire to have something worthy to write in your journal each night can be the small push you need to make the right choice. By setting small, private tests, winning them, and logging them in a nightly ritual, you build, brick by brick, a character that is solid, reliable, and truly unbreakable. You become a man who has earned his own respect, which is the most valuable respect of all. We now arrive at the fourth pillar, a principle that supports all others: virtuous living. This is the deliberate practice of keeping your mind, body, and spirit free from corruption, addiction, and unnecessary clutter. The Stoics understood that our physical and mental states are deeply interconnected. A polluted body leads to a clouded mind, and a clouded mind makes poor judgments. A gentleman of distinction treats his body not as a mere vehicle for pleasure, but as a temple that houses his rational mind and his conscience. This concept extends far beyond just avoiding obvious vices. It encompasses the food you eat, the quality of your sleep, the information you consume, and even the company you keep. Think of your conscience as a pristine, clear lake. Every poor health choice, every piece of negative media consumed, every toxic interaction is like a drop of mud falling into that water. Over time, the lake becomes murky. A man who is chronically tired, overstimulated, and physically unwell will find it infinitely harder to practice patience, discipline, and restraint. Addictions, junk food, outrage media, validation on social media, these are all forms of slavery. They tether your well-being to external things, creating dependencies that weaken your resolve. By deliberately curating a clean and disciplined lifestyle, you sever these chains. You become the master of your own state, able to think and act from a place of clarity, strength, and inner peace. The first step is to conduct an honest audit of your inputs. For 1 week, simply observe and write down what you consume. At the end of the week, review your list and ask a simple question for each item. Did this make me stronger and clearer, or weaker and murkier? Based on your audit, you can implement simple, high-impact rules. Start with a weekly media fast. Choose 1 day a week, or even just a few hours each day, to completely unplug. The most powerful habit for virtuous living is the creation of a non-negotiable sleep routine. 1 hour before your designated bedtime, begin your wind-down ritual. This means all screens are turned off. Instead, use this hour to read a physical book, meditate, stretch, or journal. This signals to your body and mind that it is time to rest and repair. As a 1-week starter plan, commit to these 3 actions. First, create and follow a simple sleep routine. Second, plan and prepare at least 4 of your evening meals. Third, delete the single most time-wasting app from your phone for 7 days. We now arrive at the 5th pillar, a subtle yet immensely powerful principle: measured action. This is the deliberate choice not to act when you have every ability and every right to do so, all for the sake of a higher good. In a world that often mistakes action, any action, for strength, restraint is the quiet and confident power of withholding. A lesser man indulges his impulses. He vents his anger, spends his money, speaks his mind without filter. The gentleman, however, possesses the self-control to pause, assess the situation, and choose the wiser path of inaction when it serves a greater purpose. It is the ability to absorb an insult without retaliating, to feel a craving without indulging it, to have an opinion without needing to voice it. The practice of measured action directly builds your authority. When a man who practices a measured response finally does speak, people listen intently because his words are the product of careful thought. A leader who listens more than he speaks makes his team feel valued. Silence is not an absence, it is a presence. Another powerful tactic of measured action is the deliberate delay. A simple rule: waiting 72 hours before making any non-essential purchase can be transformative. The same principle applies to communication. When you receive a provocative message, instead of firing back an immediate emotional reply, commit to waiting. A man who must always show his strength reveals his insecurity. The man who practices measured action needs no such proof. His control is internal and self-evident. To cultivate the measured action, you must practice it intentionally. One of the most effective ways to begin is through mental rehearsals. A concrete exercise you can implement immediately is the pause and choose method. When you feel the impulse, simply pause. Acknowledge the impulse without judgment, and then consciously choose to withhold the action. You can also practice measured action in your daily routines. Try practicing periods of silence during your day. Eat 1 meal in complete silence. Let someone else be right, even if you know they are wrong. A gentleman understands not every hill is worth dying on. He conserves his energy, his focus, and his willpower for the things that truly matter. We have now arrived at the 6th and final pillar, the one that ties all the others together into a cohesive whole: gallantry. This is the art of carrying your inner strength with humility, charm, and an unwavering courtesy toward others. A man might possess all the other pillars, all of the spiritual, emotional awareness, discipline, virtuous living, measured action, but if he is cold, rigid, or arrogant, he misses the final, crucial element of a true gentleman. The gentleman of distinction walks a higher path. He is the strong oak tree that is firm enough to withstand a storm, but flexible enough to bend without breaking. Gallantry manifests in specific, observable behaviors. One of the most prominent markers is steady and respectful eye contact. Another is measured speech. He has mastered the art of listening. Courtesy and polite manners are the bedrock of a graceful demeanor. Holding a door, saying please and thank you, offering a genuine compliment. He apologizes quickly and sincerely when he's wrong. Consider offering help without seeking praise. He quietly steps in to assist. He doesn't announce it or look for validation. This grace under pressure is a telling sign of a true gentleman. When things go wrong and others panic, he remains calm. His gallantry is the visible proof of his inner fortress. Like all virtues, gallantry must be cultivated through conscious, daily practice. Commit to small, daily acts of courtesy. Perform 3 small acts of service for others each day that you do not speak about. Focus on physical presence, posture and tone. Several times a day, check your posture. Stand or sit tall, shoulders back, chest open. Before you speak, take a half second to lower volume and slow your pace. That shift turns a demand into a calm, respectful request and changes the interaction. Each evening, 30 seconds in the mirror. Stand tall, make eye contact, practice a warm, genuine smile. You're rehearsing the demeanor you want. We have now journeyed through the 6 foundational pillars of the unbreakable gentleman. Or of the spiritual, emotional awareness, private victories, virtuous living, measured action, and gallantry. These are not just 6 ideas, they are a code for living, the cardinal virtues. The core benefits of this code are profound. The first is an unbreakable steadiness. You become a rock in the storm. The second benefit is trust. Through your restraint, your grace, and your integrity, you become a man who is deeply reliable. The third is a legitimate, unbreakable confidence, born from the quiet knowledge that you have conquered the most difficult opponent of all, yourself. Now, for the promised payoff, a unified daily routine that weaves all 6 pillars into a simple, actionable ritual. We challenge you. Follow this 10-step ritual for the next 30 days. Your morning ritual. 1. Awe of the spiritual. Stand by a window for 1 minute and really take in the beauty of the day. 2. Virtuous living. Drink a full glass of water. 3. Private victory. Make your bed. 4. Emotional awareness. Sit in silence for 3 minutes. 5. Measured action and grace. Briefly review your day's schedule and mentally rehearse responding to 1 moment of stress with grace. Your evening ritual. 6. Virtuous living. Put your phone away 1 hour before bed. 7. Private victory audit. Write down 1 private victory. 8. Emotional review. Reflect on 1 moment you felt a strong emotion. 9. Gallantry and awe of the spiritual. Write down 1 thing you're grateful for. 10. Commitment. Close your journal and silently recommit to walking this path tomorrow. The journey to becoming an unbreakable gentleman is a marathon, not a sprint. The 30-day ritual is your first mile. The power lies in consistency. Remember the words of Marcus Aurelius, the tranquility that comes when you stop caring what they say, or think, or do, only what you do. The 6 pillars provide the framework, and the daily ritual provides the practice. Turn your gaze inward. The world has enough men who are shaken, it needs more who are not. Your character is your destiny. Build it with intention, with discipline, with gallantry. Your inner fortress awaits. Begin now.
Welcome to the unseen blueprint of a gentleman.
In this 6th episode of our Pillars of Stoic Practice series, we ask, what truly defines a man of substance? Is it his wealth? Is it his status? Is it the noise he makes in the world? We are often led to believe so. Society celebrates the loud, the flashy, the instantly gratifying. Yet, a deeper truth remains, understood by the wisest souls for centuries. The true measure of a man is not what he possesses or displays for public approval. It is forged in the silent, unseen moments of his life. It is built upon a foundation of character, an internal fortress, unshakable amidst modern chaos. This is the path of the gentleman of distinction, internal mastery over external acquisition. This journey is not reserved for philosophers or kings. It's a practical blueprint, timeless principles anyone can learn and apply. This is the essence of the Virtues of Stoicism Collection. Not a dry academic subject, but a living, breathing guide to self-mastery and virtue. A good life is not something that happens to you. It's something you build, choice by choice, day by day. A framework for developing resilience, for developing clarity, for developing an inner peace that external events cannot touch. This is the promise we will explore, a clear pathway to the man you were meant to be. At the very end of this video, I will reveal a single, powerful challenge, a simple action you can take immediately to begin integrating these virtues. This isn't just about gaining knowledge, it's about transformation. This final piece ties everything together, a concrete starting point for your journey. Stay with me until the end. The reward is not just information, it's the key to unlocking a more profound, more resilient version of yourself. Many men feel a quiet sense of drift today, pulled in 1,000 directions by conflicting demands and shallow ideals. They crave solid ground to stand on. They crave a moral compass for decisions when no one is watching. This is precisely what Stoicism provides. An anchor in the storm. A philosophy built for action, not just contemplation. It teaches you to navigate life's complexities with dignity, with purpose, with an unyielding strength of character. Not about becoming unfeeling or detached, but becoming the calm, steady hand that guides the ship through any weather. To walk this path, we must first understand its foundations. We will delve into 6 foundational Stoic virtues that are the pillars of a gentleman's character. These are not abstract ideals, but practical tools for building a life of meaning. The first 2 pillars establish your inner world, reverence for the sacred, and emotional discernment. The second pair of pillars forges your private character, private victories, and clean living. Finally, the virtues that govern your actions in the world, the art of restraint and manly grace. These 6 principles are more than just a list of good habits. They are an integrated system for a life well lived. Let us begin. Our journey begins with the most fundamental virtue, the one that anchors all others. This is reverence for the sacred. In a world that often celebrates the self above all else, the Stoic gentleman understands a profound truth. He recognizes that he is a small part of a much larger, magnificent order. This isn't about adhering to a specific religion. It is about cultivating a deep sense of awe and humility. God, nature, the cosmos, the logos. The principle remains the same. You stand in service to something greater than your own ego, your own desires, your own fleeting ambitions. This sense of reverence is the antidote to arrogance. The man who lacks reverence sees himself as the center of the universe. His victories make him proud, his failures make him bitter. But the man who practices reverence understands his place. He sees his life as a single thread in a vast, intricate design. This perspective brings not weakness, but an incredible strength. So, how does one cultivate this sense of reverence? Start by dedicating a few moments each morning to quiet contemplation. Another powerful practice is to consciously spend time in nature. You can also practice reverence through gratitude. Finally, seek wisdom from those who came before you. Practice consistently. They will build a powerful foundation of reverence in your soul, shaping you into a man of quiet depth and unshakable grounding. Once we have established our connection to a higher order, we must turn our attention inward. We must learn to navigate the often turbulent seas of our own emotions. A gentleman is not a man who feels nothing. He's a man who is not ruled by what he feels. A true gentleman, however, learns to become the captain of his own soul. Emotional discernment is the ability to create a space between a feeling and a reaction. The first and most crucial exercise is the practice of the pause. The next step is to name the emotion. This separates you, the observer, from the emotion itself. Finally, you must choose your response. Will you respond to an insult with rage or with quiet dignity? This is the art of emotional discernment, the quiet power that defines a gentleman of distinction. Now, we move into the silent arena where true character is forged. This brings us to our third pillar, private victories. These are the battles no one else sees. The decision to get out of bed, the choice to refuse a second helping, the unseen victories over vice, temptation, and laziness. True, unshakable confidence is not built by external praise. It is forged in the quiet knowledge that you have conquered yourself. Think of your willpower as a muscle. Every time you win a private victory, you strengthen it. These small, daily choices accumulate over time. They are the daily deposits you make into the bank account of your own integrity. While the world chases fleeting moments of public glory, the gentleman is quietly building an inner fortress of character, one small private victory at a time. Hand in hand with private victories comes our fourth pillar, clean living. If your character is the fortress, then your mind, your body, and your spirit are the very stones it is built from. A polluted life inevitably leads to a polluted mind and clouded judgment. This principle begins with the body. What you eat, how you sleep, how you move, directly impact your ability to think clearly. The gentleman of distinction does not see caring for his body as a matter of vanity. He sees it as a fundamental duty. This commitment extends to the spirit. Surrounding yourself with cynical, negative, undisciplined people is like willingly ingesting poison. A crucial aspect of clean living is curating your information diet. You must not feed your mind with garbage. By refusing to engage with toxic internal chatter, you maintain the purity of your inner sanctum. This leads us to our fifth and penultimate pillar, the art of restraint. True power is not shown by what you can do. It is shown by what you choose not to do for the sake of a higher good. The man who shouts and boasts to prove his power reveals his insecurity. But the man who possesses the quiet strength of restraint needs no such validation. Cultivating restraint is a practical discipline. Introduce a mandatory delay. Question the nobility of the action. Practice the power of silence. Set clear boundaries for yourself in advance. When in doubt, say, "Let me think on that," or ask yourself, "Is this noble?" In every domain, restraint turns raw impulse into elegant, purposeful, powerful action. We now arrive at the sixth and final pillar. It is manly grace. If restraint is the quiet inner strength, grace is how that strength is expressed in the world. It softens the hard edges of discipline and turns a man who is merely strong into a man who is also good. Grace is not weakness. A weak man's kindness is born of fear. A strong man's kindness is a choice. Living with grace is a daily practice. Make it a habit to use small courtesies. A man of grace is not stingy with his encouragement. A core component of manly grace is attentive listening. When you are wrong, admit it quickly and without excuse. Manly grace is the final polish, allowing inner virtue to shine warmly in the world. These 6 virtues are a complete, integrated system, a blueprint for becoming a gentleman of distinction. Think of it as building a great cathedral. Reverence is the sacred ground. Emotional discernment and private victories are the foundation. Like clean living provides the strong, pure stones. The art of restraint is the masterful architecture, and manly grace is the light that streams through the stained glass windows. The man who builds his life upon this blueprint stands apart. In a world of noise, he possesses a quiet confidence. He is a source of stability for his family, a pillar of reliability for his community. The gentleman of distinction is not a destination you arrive at, but a direction you choose to walk every single day. At the very beginning of this video, I promised you a challenge, a single, powerful action. This is the payoff for your attention. Knowledge without action is merely entertainment. It is the man who acts on what he learns who truly changes. You have watched to the end, which shows you are ready. Now is the moment to transform that desire into a decision, and that decision into your very first step. Here is the challenge. For the next 7 days, choose one domain of your life and apply the art of restraint, just one. For 7 days, restrain your tongue a full week without complaining, gossip, or speaking ill of anyone. Or restrain your appetites. Give up one indulgence, sugar, alcohol, junk food. Or restrain your wallet, a week of no non-essential spending. The choice is yours, but the commitment must be absolute. This is your first private battle. Write down your commitment. Tell a trusted friend to hold you accountable. This 7-day trial will teach you more about self-mastery than 100 videos. It is the first step toward the unshakable inner fortress of the gentleman of distinction. Will you accept this challenge? The man you want to become is waiting for your answer. The path we have outlined today is not the easy path. It goes against the grain of a culture that prizes ease, but the easy path rarely leads to a place worth going. The promise of Stoicism is not a change in your circumstances, it is a change in you. You can forge a character so strong, a spirit so resilient, a mind so clear that you can face any storm with courage and grace. The world does not need more loud, successful men. It needs quiet, good men, men of integrity, men who can be trusted. By embarking on this path, you are choosing to become a source of light in a world that often feels dark. This concludes Volume 1 of our Pillars of Stoic Practice series. Thank you for joining me on this journey. In our next episode, 12 Stoic Laws to Build a Resilient Man, we'll discover 12 Stoic principles that once shaped warriors, kings, and philosophers, and can still forge the modern man. The path is clear before you, the work is hard, but the reward is a life of purpose, peace, and profound honor. The work begins now.
Thanks for watching the Gentleman of Distinction channel. Now, it's time to take what you've learned and put it into action. Remember, growth is a journey, and you're one step closer to mastering your masculine frame and unlocking your full potential. If you found value in today's video, drop a like, subscribe, and hit that bell icon so you never miss out on the next step in your journey. Stay focused, stay disciplined, and as always, keep leveling up.